All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining Molly and Christina, Crohn's Talk, um, or Crohn's Talk with Molly and Christina. So grab your cup of tea and enjoy the conversation. I know these topics are a little vulnerable and interesting. We'll just call it that. But today we're going to have a little more discussion about surgeries, but more along the physical impact. The last video we made was more along like the mental state, but here we're going to actually talk into the nitty-gritty of what we've been through and what's the physical impact when you have surgeries. So I will go ahead and start since I have had a few. So I've had, like I said, I kind of had to stop counting after 21. So I think I'm at like 23 or 24 surgeries by now. Um, 10 have been abdominal, where they had to either laparoscopically or, cut open my abdomen to get in there. I've had a colostomy. I had my colon perforate. That's where I got my first colostomy from. I was really sick, really thin. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. I'm about 135 pounds. Normally, I was down to 100 pounds, so I couldn't even walk. And then fluid ended up filling when I perforated my first surgery. Fluid filled up my cavity, stool and everything, and was in ICU and all that fun stuff. I did make it through. My parents were given a 50-50 chance that I'd make it through the night. I did. Woke up though with a bag, which is not what I wanted. Then it was a colostomy. Took about 4 months, healed that, and was told that within 10 years I'd have an ileostomy for life due to the severity of my Crohn's. So I was like, no, that's not going to happen to me. I'm going to make it through this. So, I went on health and all the things, paleo, did everything I could, but unfortunately after I was reconnected about 2 years later, yeah, it's exactly 2 years later, I was begging for an ileostomy again. I had had a lot of surgeries in between then, but it was the fistula repair. So for me, my worst part was my colon, just completely ulcerated. And then I had many, many anal fistulas. It was awful, to the point where I had setons put in. And so that's where a lot of the surgeries were, other than the 10 abdominal ones. The other 15 or whatever were fistula repairs or trying to. So by the time 2014 hit, we just realized like I was getting worse. My colon was just dying inside of me, kind of like Molly. And it had to get removed permanently. I had a loop ileostomy, thinking I could get reconnected. We tried to disconnect it, thinking I would heal still and my colon could still heal. Well, it didn't. I still ended up getting sicker and ended up having to get a total proctocolectomy at the end of 2014. Unfortunately, because I had a golf ball sized fistula in my rectum, they couldn't, after my surgery, Molly, you're not gonna have to go through this, but it couldn't heal because it was just this huge, disgusting ball of pus. And so I couldn't sit on my butt for over 6 months and had to stuff it with gauze. It's just, I mean, it's total trauma, right? Maybe TMI, but it was awful. Molly's surgery will be a lot easier. And because I had so much inflammation at that spot, when they removed it, I had scar tissue shoot up from what used to be my rectum and then wrap around my small intestine. So I then had to wait. So then I had a blockage immediately after this surgery. And then then I had to wait a month because you can't go back-to-back surgeries. I had to wait a month in order to have that blockage repaired. So it was a horrible time in life. That's the time where Molly said I was crying, I'd never get married, who's going to want to marry me, who's going to date me, how am I ever going to have a kid? All those things were during that time.
How old were you?
It was 2014. I was born in 82, so 32. 32. But guess what? Did uncover, did recover, ended up having a great life, a great time after that. After I was healing, I used that time a lot to really get my strength up, go hiking, just find some outdoors activities that really, really helped me get through that. Then because unfortunately with Crohn's, you really want to do everything you can not to get on that first time, because then scar tissue forms. So in 2016, I was in remission, but the scar tissue at that anastomosis site where they reconnected my small intestine from 2014 got narrowed and I got a blockage. So they had to go in and cut a piece out again and fix that. And then I was fine for 8 years. And then this last year, I got 2 more blockages due to scar tissue and some inflammation. So that's what I went through this last year. It's been a rough journey. I got the scar in May. I had a blockage. We're what is it, February? So almost like 10 months ago. And then I thought I was healed, but 4 months later, I got another blockage, which is just kind of unheard of. But I guess I was so inflamed and the scar tissue just formed right up again. And so now though I got scoped, that was October. Again, February is 4 months later, and the scar tissue is looking good still. So I'm very
Yay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so my biggest issue has been a lot of scar tissue over the last decade, which is why I've been having surgeries. Before then, it was just like colon and fistulas. So my journey has evolved and from the physical component of why I've been having surgeries. But yeah, if you can avoid that first time and not have the scar tissue, that's critical. So that's a very high level, long story short. I don't know how short that was about my couple dozen surgeries. But that's kind of what I've been through. And this last one, I had to get my ileostomy redone too. I actually had two blockages in two different spots, and then they had to redo my ileostomy because one of the blockages, the scar tissue, was right next to the stoma site. So there were three issues on my last surgery, but we corrected them all, and now I'm just still healing. So
You're like Superwoman.
yeah, well, like I said, everyone has something, right? This is something I've just learned to deal with. And if you would have talked to me about this 3 months ago, I would not be smiling and in this kind of state either. It takes time to get through these kind of things. So
So how many of those surgeries were laparoscopic or about?
I think all of them, they definitely had a component of laparoscopic where they use the tools, but when they take out your colon and parts of it, like they have to create a larger cut. So it's usually like 3 inches. Um, so I would say all of them were laparoscopic, but some of them needed an additional help where they had to make like a 4 inch, most of them, actually the majority, I would say they also created a large cut. I would say maybe out of the 10 of them, like 6 or 7 where they had to also create a larger hole to pull things out of
So
it.
how big is your scar on your stomach? Do you have multiple scars on your stomach or?
Oh yeah, I've got so many little ones all over, and then the big ones down like in my pelvic region. And then when I had the C-section, then I have one going up too. So I can't, I don't even wear a two-piece anymore.
Yeah, but C-section wasn't as bad, right? As
No,
the other.
C-section was the easiest surgery I've ever had in my life compared to, I mean, it was literally a walk in the park compared to what we deal with Crohn's.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. And you walking on the street, no one would ever know.
No, no one has any idea. I mean, I look like everything's normal, right? So it's not until you put me in a
Yeah.
bathing suit.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing.
What about you? Yeah, of course. I know you said you've had 3 surgeries.
Yep. So mine started off with hemorrhoids. I had really, really bad hemorrhoids. I got my hemorrhoids removed. They turned out to be skin tags, which skin tags are the beginning of Crohn's. So that kind of activated everything. And then I was on a bunch of meds. They didn't do any surgeries. And then, like I said, they did the ileostomy. A few years later, I had a blockage in the ileostomy. So they had to redo the ileostomy, take out 3 inches of my small intestines. And then now this one will be the fourth surgery.
Yeah, once you have one, right? Isn't that interesting? It's true. Like there's always, it leads to another and it leads to another.
Yep. So I
Yeah.
basically have had the 2 times of ileostomies, 2 inches of my small intestines, and now removing my colon and rectum. So hopefully I do have some narrowing. What I'm going to say is hopefully that will be the end, but we can only pray. I do have some narrowing in my small intestines right now. They might want to remove that, but it's kind of like, when do you actually get the surgery? Do you get the surgery when it's terrible and you're in pain and you're going to die, or do you get the surgery to prevent things? So that's kind of my question right now is, well, I'm on medication now. How much do I give the medication to work? How long does it take? Or do I take it out now to prevent any problems? But when you have the surgery, there's always possible complications. So that's where I leave it up to the surgeon, but it's my body and I have to go home and deal with it. But I don't want any blockages. So there's kind of a point I think some of you can understand and feel the same as the unknown and when to do things at what time.
Mhm. Yeah. That's a hard one because too, like the narrowing, why is the narrowing, right? Can it be solved with the double balloon to open it up? Can it not? And then, because that's the best solution if it can, but if it can, or if it's too narrow at that point, then they have to cut. And then you just, yeah, then you hope the scar tissue doesn't come. But like, truthfully, I think you'll have this surgery and you'll be done, and you're never gonna have another surgery in your life.
Maybe
That
the next surgery will be
putting it out there. Wait, what?
maybe the next surgery will be having a baby.
There you go. Yes, so no more Crohn's related surgeries.
I know. Or I could get like it'd be kind of nice to go into surgery and then come out with like bigger boobs or something.
Wrong doctor.
Or like a nice facelift.
Yeah, right. Can you imagine Fletcher be like, yeah,
I know. But I don't know, it's just always fun to joke around, you
it
know.
is. Well, you have to. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a hard topic and it's easier to digest that way. So, no.
Yeah.
Okay. No, well, thank you for sharing that. I know it's hard to talk about these things. But I know you're gonna make it through, and I'm putting out in the universe. This is gonna be your last surgery, and everything is gonna be
Thank
good.
you. And you're done with all your surgeries. No more. Tapped out at 24.
Tapped out at 24. No more Crohn's surgeries for the
And
next.
it's again, it's pretty amazing how you're walking and living your life and doing yoga and hiking and having a baby and have I mean it's really amazing. And I think for all of you going through really hard times right now or hard times of before or coming up, just to I mean, Christina is a living proof that she's smiling and happy and a few months ago she wasn't, you know, and it's pretty amazing how resilient. And right now it's happening, you know, in a month it's going to be over and you're going to be focusing on amazing food you're going to eat and you know the hikes you're going to do. I mean that it's really powerful.
Yeah. No,
So thank you.
no
Cheers.
problem. And you are gonna do awesome. I can't wait to talk to you after. And I'm here to support you as you go through it, as I'm sure everyone else is and all your support system too. So you got this, sister.
Thank you.
All
See you
right.
next time.
See
Love
you
you.
next time. Love you. Bye.